All right, good morning, everyone. Being 9:01, we will open with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me. Senator Lang, would you like to lead us?
Absolutely. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, welcome, everyone. Those of you who are here, I'm glad you made it. We will hopefully have a relatively quick day today. We'll open the hearing on Senate Bill 527 and recognize Senator Lang to introduce. Good morning and welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am Senator Tim Lang from Senate District 2. I have before you Senate Bill 527. This bill is at the request of the agency having to do with the 541 statutes. As you know, I serve as the chairman of JELCAR, and this came through the JELCAR process in our discussions. So I know the commissioner is going to speak on this. The short version, we're just trying to make it easier, make it more streamlined to be able to get information to people and also do it in a more cost-effective manner. But the commissioner can speak to that.
Thank you for testimony. Any questions? Seeing none. Adam? Good morning.
Morning, Chairman, members of the committee. My name's Adam Crapo. I'm the Assistant Commissioner at the Department of Environmental Services. This is a request of DES. We are requesting this because we are going through quite a bit of transition when it comes to e-permitting in the state. We want to do more business online. As of 2 years ago, we were still doing almost everything via paper processes and manual. We've done quite a bit of work over the last 2 years to get to a point. We have a $4.6 million contract with a vendor to redo all of our land resources permitting, to put that online and all of our databases behind it. We have already made some progress with some, we call it sort of minimum viable product, which means, you know, we have some forms online, but we're going to improve those over the next few years. One of the things that we're doing as part of that process is we're leading our permitting processes. So what we've found through multiple lean events was that a lot of our processes are based on laws that were passed in the 90s. And this is one of those laws that requires every state agency in state government, when they get an application for a permit or some sort of approval that requires state agency approval, they need to notify the municipality via first-class mail that they've received an application to that effect. And so what that results in, we have thousands of permits that we review, and most of them we approve. But what that results in is we have to send thousands, tens of thousands of letters and notifications to communities across the state. And what we're trying to do here is allow for that to be done electronically rather than via first-class mail. So that's the underlying bill. We do have a few amendments that we'd like to see to the bill that are sort of additions, and they really have to do with how we notify our rivers coordinator and some of the local advisory committees, which advise us on wetlands permits and other types of permits. And right now we have to notify them. What we want to do is put it on the applicant to notify them that they're applying for a permit. That would make our process a little bit more streamlined in a time when I think everybody's looking for efficiencies. And then the other thing is allowing us to control some of the timing around when we notify those entities. Right now, we have to do it as soon as we get the permit application. We want a little bit of leeway to be able to notify them when we're able to. So obviously before we approve anything, but So those are the two amendments that I have, and I can share those with the committee. And I know I've shared them with Senator Lang, and I believe, I don't want to speak for him, but I believe he's amenable to those. So
All right, you have that language to share with us today?
I do, yeah, and I can pass those out. So
So, first question that prompts with me is if we move the notification requirement to the applicant rather than the agency, does that create or create the applicant to incur an additional cost?
it would, I would say it would probably be de minimis, right? Because they are what we're intending to do is they would give us the email address of the town clerks. There's no, at least to our knowledge, there's no official record of all the email addresses or contact information for all the municipalities across the state that's updated frequently enough to ensure that they're getting that. And so what we would do is we would require the applicant to type in the email address in the permitting platform. And then we would verify that on our end once we get it to ensure that the municipality receives the notification. But we would have sort of a two-step process there. But currently, as I mentioned, we are receiving these applications, and then we have staff literally print these letters out, they're form letters, and put them in envelopes, stamp them, and send them out via first-class mail. That is a pretty, I mean, we're doing it now, but it's a pretty large burden at a time when we're trying to find efficiencies within our process.
Just for my clarification, I want to make sure I understand. So what you're asking the applicant to then is to provide you with the notification information, not specifically provide the notification to the towns?
Yes, that would be the case in the underlying bill. In the amendments, what we would do, because there's two different notifications. There's notification for the town, which is what in the municipality, which is what the underlying bill does. And then there are two amendments that I passed out, both of which have to do with notifying. We have a rivers coordinator within DES, and we also have local advisory committees, which are groups that ensure that their water bodies are not being impacted by these projects. And that would be something that we would ask the applicants to do. Right now, we are required to do that.
So I apologize, I'm hogging the questions. I'll let you have them in a minute. So I guess what happens if the applicant says they emailed it to the town, but the town says we didn't receive it? I mean, these things do happen. We all have spam folders and things like that. What's the process then? Because they technically be in violation of the requirement to notify.
So there's two things that could happen, right? We have staff that would verify that it's the correct email address, and maybe it got into the spam folder. I totally understand that some communities they get a lot of volume, and so that would be a challenge. The other thing I would want to know, and it's in the testimony, but we post all of the application. Well, we post that we received an application on our website, and it's a pretty quick turnaround. And so that's all. So there's two avenues that they have access to that information. We would both require the applicant to provide the email address, and it would be something that comes through the new system that we have. But then we also will be posting it on the website, and you can sort it by town. And so if a town is interested in getting that information, and they think they could check it every day if they wanted to. I'm not suggesting that they do that, but so there are really two avenues for them to get that.
I guess my concern is moving that responsibility to the applicant. I'm a little concerned about that. I just don't. I mean, right now the applicant is applying with you, with DES, as the agency. Currently the agency's burden is to let the municipality that's going to impact be known that this is happening. And I guess I'm just a little concerned about moving that over to the applicant. I don't want to create a process that makes the town or puts the town in jeopardy of not having information that they should have in the municipality. I'm just a little concerned about that. So we can talk about it. But
Sure.
Senator Reardon, did you have some questions?
I did.
Sorry, I've probably asked a couple.
You covered part of what I'm asking. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for taking my question.
Absolutely.
So I'm looking at, and immediately when you started talking about that, I thought about planning board and zoning board procedures in towns where in fact the applicants are required to submit certified mail receipts. And that is burdensome and it's costly. And I'm noticing in one of your amendments that you passed out here that it does say you'll provide postal receipts, and certified mail is the only kind of postal receipt I really know. And then a little further down, all abutters have been notified by application by certified postal receipt. So this may be, go beyond an email to a town, which I share the chair's concern about proving that. You know,
Sure.
we want a complete record when we're doing that. But in fact, have we comprehensively looked at what kinds of things might include notice to abutters too, who might be affected, who,
So abutters are much more challenging because, you know, the only real way to know whether or not they've been notified is a mail receipt. And so as part of that amendment, one of the things that we would be intending to do would be to ask the applicant to send that via certified mail and provide those receipts. But currently we are required to do that as well. And that is another burden on the state agency, right? And again, I think we've been tasked by both the legislature and the executive branch to find efficiencies within our processes, and this is one of those efforts. So we're bringing it forward to you today to discuss that, and we're certainly amenable to making changes. But I think our concern is we have all these electronic permitting systems that we're paying for and we are hoping to utilize to their fullest extent. And we may still, the point may be moot because, you know, we still have to do a lot of this stuff manually, I guess is the point. And so we want to ensure that we're getting the best bang for our buck with both these electronic permitting systems and ensuring that these entities are notified, totally understand the concerns, and we can work through those things.
Further question?
thank you, okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I don't see any other questions. Appreciate it. Brody, I suspect we've asked some questions that address a few of your concerns in your opposition.
Yes, yeah, I don't want to. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the committee for taking my testimony this morning. Again, for the record, Brody DeShays. I represent the New Hampshire Municipal Association, and we are opposed to Senate Bill 527 as presented. But we are sympathetic to the problem that's attempted to be solved in this legislation. We have spoken with the commissioner, with DES, about this issue. And so we want to get to a place where we can be neutral or even potentially supportive of this bill. But as it's currently drafted, we can. I won't have a bunch of things noted that have already kind of been covered, but I think our key concern is we are unsure how the state can ensure written notice is provided when it's done, especially when it's done electronically. It could presumably be a phone call to the town hall trying to verify with someone at town hall or the town offices that they've received it. But I mean, let's be honest, in some of our smaller member towns where their town halls are only open 2-3 days a week, where the folks on staff are not going to have access to everyone's email. Something I've recently learned in doing research on this bill is not every municipality has electronic capabilities. That might sound crazy, but it's true. I mean, I know this act was written in the 1990s, and the reality is some of our municipalities are operating like it's still the 1980s in some cases. Yeah. So we're not sure how they would even be able to receive an email, let alone the fact that not every town clerk's email is publicly available, and some of our town clerks are using their private email when they're doing their business. So, you know, that's a whole other host of issues unto itself, having a private email, private Gmail, handling these types of governmental records. So I think another key thing too, after hearing the previous testimonies, municipalities aren't going to follow DS's website. In an ideal world, they would, and they would follow every single application, but they just don't have the capability or the capacity to do that. And a key reason why these notifications are sent first class mail is, one, so there's an actual paper record and the municipality can't say, oh, well, we didn't get it. Protects the applicant and protects the state. But also, too, there are like sometimes hearing requirements. I know a prime thing that's always happening in my town is hearings for like dredging that the Conservation Commission has to do. So the town clerk receives this postage, this first-class mail. It's verified that the town clerk received it. They, send it to the Conservation Commission chair, and the Conservation Commission knows it needs to post for a hearing within a certain time period to meet other statutory requirements. So we want to work with the state agencies and you as senators to ensure that the state has an up-to-date list of town and city clerk email addresses, and add some additional safeguards to this bill to demonstrate that the information being sent was received and ample opportunity was provided to act in accordance with current laws. So we're unsure how that will look, but we think we can get there, but we think this bill is going to need a little bit more time. And thank you. I'll take any questions.
Senator Reed?
Thank you, and thank you for taking my question. I agree about the public hearings. Community development block grants require a
Yeah.
public hearing. There's lots of instances we're probably not thinking of. But I have a question that I'm not sure you'd know off your head. I think Ned Gordon might know it off the top of his head. But there's an evidentiary rule about letters that are mailed properly addressed, that they're received. I wonder if we have ever had any kind of evidentiary rule that is about electronic communications like that, and it's something you might take back. I don't recall that ever happening, but that's a key part of why we send mail in these cases. So
Thank you for the question, Senator. I would agree. I think it's important that there be a paper record, especially if there's litigation. So it protects the applicant actually more than the municipality.
thank you.
All right, seeing no further questions, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else that would like to testify on Senate Bill 527? All right, seeing none, we'll close the hearing. And let me know when you are ready. Okay, all right. Senator Carson, we'll open up the hearing on Senate Bill 570 and recognize you to introduce the bill. Good morning. Welcome back to ED&A.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning to the members of Senate ED&A. For the record, my name is Sharon Carson, and I have the pleasure of representing Senate District 14, comprising the towns of Auburn, Londonderry, and Hudson, and I have this morning for your consideration Senate Bill 570 relative to the Legislative Ethics Committee and Legislative Ethics. Mr. Chairman, this bill was an attempt, the first attempt at trying to I guess really clarify the statute and perhaps to start setting some standards, because we really don't have some. They're really just kind of not really defined very well. And in conversations with Mr. Lambert, who is the attorney for legislative ethics, and you'll see Senator Gordon is here because he chairs legislative ethics. There's still some work that needs to be done on this. So I'm going to, at this point, conclude my testimony, let you know that there's some work that needs to be done. I will work with them to come up with an amendment that will hopefully achieve what the Legislative Ethics Committee is asking for.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any questions? All right, seeing none.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Chairman.
Ned, would you like to come up? Good to see you again. Good morning.
Mr. Chair,
Great to see
members
you.
of the committee, for the record, my name is Ned Gordon. I chair the Legislative Ethics Committee, although I'm not here authorized to speak on their behalf. We haven't met for some time, and so I haven't been authorized to speak on their behalf, so I'm representing myself today. This bill is in the same form it was presented last year and was defeated or voted down at the time. And it does need a lot of work if it were to go forward. There are two concerns that I have with the bill in particular. First of all, it makes an attempt to define what is a direct benefit or a direct detriment. And it does, what it attempts to do is define it in terms of the size of the group that a person belongs to in a size of the group that the person belongs to. So it creates a definition of public at large, which means any reasonable large group of individuals, right at the very beginning. And then as you go down below, it talks about what constitutes a direct benefit. And a direct benefit would say it's something that you're entitled to without any intervening action. And it also indicates that that it doesn't apply if you are just a member of the public at large. The concerns here are, I think this just creates more ambiguity than we currently have, because if you define public at large in terms of any reasonable large group of individuals, what does that mean? And how large is that group of individuals? And then if you go down and it says that you can't get a direct benefit if there is any intervening action. Well, literally in every single case, there's some intervening action that takes place before somebody has to write a check if you're going to get some financial benefit. So I think it creates more ambiguity, and I'm not sure that that's in our interest. The Legislative Ethics Committee has worked hard in terms of coming out with advisory opinions to define things. And basically, you would be, there would be cause to recuse yourself if you're going to get any direct and substantial financial benefit or detriment. And we've done a pretty good job of defining what is substantial. A direct benefit we have been working on in terms of our advisory opinions, but more in terms of in our latest advisory opinions in terms of whether it's direct in that it's immediate, and it's direct if it's more than just a probability that or a chance that you're going to get something. You have to actually have something that you're going to get right away, and it's got to be sure that you're going to get it. And I think that makes more sense than coming up with this type of definition, frankly. The other thing, and I think even more importantly, is if you go into the middle of the proposed bill on the page, it changes the definition of a financial interest. And this is really critical because the way this definition has been changed, basically it changes what was the current law before recusal. And basically the only time you'd have to recuse is if you're an employee or you're getting some financial compensation. And this actually would undo what was already in place before the recusal bill was put into place. And so the long and the short of it is, I understand the idea here. It appears from the bill is to dilute the provisions, the recusal provisions. And unfortunately, I think you would be better off if you just repealed the recusal provisions themselves that were in House Bill 1388 than you would be to try to dilute what we already have. I know that there has been one specific concern, and that is that was raised with regard, for example, if you had an auto dealership and you were voting on the issue of whether or not you should have mandatory inspections and whether you should recuse yourself in those circumstances. The one thing that I would point out in that particular, and I think that the committee has found that yes, in those circumstances you would have to recuse yourself. Then this is just personal opinion because I'm not sure any other committee members feel this way. The one thing that and all the committee members are former legislators, being the former legislators, say, you know, the one thing that I don't like about that is, what, if you are an auto dealer in those circumstances, you have lots to offer in terms of what you should do. So if I were to make one change in the recusal law, the thing that I would say is, yes, right now, under all, you're required to recuse yourself from all legislative activity, and that includes speaking at committee. The one exception I would make is to say that you can still speak individually at a committee hearing. And as long as you identify the fact that you have a conflict. And that way, you're not losing the expertise of that legislator. And the other thing I would say, just in terms of what the committee has done, the recusal provisions have been in place for over a year now, and we haven't found one single violation at the committee. And we haven't been looking for them yet either, but we haven't had one single. But we've had lots of people come and ask what they should be doing, and we've been trying as best we possibly can to define what constitutes circumstances when you do have to recuse.
Well, thank you for your testimony. I mean, this is definitely a challenge for all of us as a citizen legislator that, you know, we all have jobs, we do.
Right.
And you're right, it brings that expertise in that we're looking for. That's what makes the legislative body function so well the way it is, but it does present these ethic challenges. And I appreciate your testimony. Will you be willing to work with Senator Carson and with the committee on making some adjustments?
All is willing. In fact, I'm reluctant to testify because of my affection and respect for the sponsor.
Understood. All right. Any questions from the committee, Senator Reardon?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for taking my question. I think I've looked at this statute more than I really would love to, and actually spent a lot of money getting legal opinions on this statute. I agree with everything that you said. And I just want to further, there seemed to be the most confusion about what a legislator and a member of their household, that kind of definition of that kind of situation, with a legislator who's actually employed and being in the legislature at the same time. And the provisions of that section, I think it wasn't clear to most people how each of those were defined independently and what the rules were for each. So just from that perspective, I think clarity in the law, and I agree, it was much easier when I was in the House. The rules seemed to be much clearer than they are now. I would not be opposed to going back to that, but I think it's another area that we really need to look at here.
I can tell you in terms of the public, to the extent that the committee has received testimony from the public, we haven't received any testimony from the public that opposed to legislators recusing themselves when they have conflicts. And in fact, quite the contrary. The only testimony I think we've had is that it should be stricter. Mm-hmm. I look at it sort of like the Eiffel Tower. You know, if you ever been to Paris, the Eiffel Tower was built. It was this thing, and the people in Paris hated it. They hated it because it wasn't artful. It was just a big stack of metal, and it didn't fit in with French art, culture, architecture. And then after it was built and it was there, everybody else loved it. And then it became, over time, the people in Paris realized that it was the right thing to do. And now it's the symbol of Paris. And so that's what I think of the recusal bill. Having been a legislator, I look at it and say, you know, would I want to be restricted in what I'm doing in the legislature? Would I want to do those things? But is it the right thing to do? So I like the Eiffel Tower. I think initially you look at it and say, I don't like it so much, but in the long term, I think it's good.
Further questions from the committee? All right, seeing none. Thanks for coming in today. Rich, you didn't sign up. Is there anything you want to add? You good? All right. Anybody else that would like to testify on Senate Bill 570? Seeing none, we'll close the hearing. And when Ben is ready, we will open the next hearing. You made it, Senator Gannon, in time.
Senator Birdsall. I thought the Eiffel Tower just wasn't finished. They had decided stuff. It's nice to know that it is.
What's that?
You work with me? I guess, sir. Sure. Did Eddie send you? No. You're better looking than me. You'll have more sway with the women.
All right, we will open the hearing on Senate Bill 568 and recognize Senator Gannon to introduce. You bet. Good to see you, Nick.
Thank you, Senator. I'm Senator Bill Gannon. I represent the wine country, Senate District 23, 12 beautiful towns. And come on and visit sometime and I'll show you around the vineyards. This was, to me, a very straightforward bill, and the officer might fill in blanks that I'm probably not covering. It was a background check procedure for a commissioner to have designees when he's hiring, and it spelled out very exciting things like how to go use a state or a federal background check. It talked about fingerprint procedure, criminal history, and I didn't find it that exciting, but maybe the good officer could expand on that. But so it was procedures for doing background checks and who could do them.
Yes.
That's all I saw in it.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Victor Muzzy. I'm a captain in the state police, and oversee the Justice Information Bureau, which deals with kind of all things criminal history related, and this being one of them. So just a little background on this particular statute. We were the subject of an FBI CJIS audit, which we are every 3 years. That happened this particular May. What we learned basically, or what came to light really in the audit finding there, was that for all of our own internal employee applicants, and oftentimes we deal with nurses and OPLC and education and all those other applicants, we also obviously deal with that on our front also. And so what was happening internally was all of the results of these checks were supposed to go to the commissioner and be reviewed by the commissioner according to the statute as it stood before this amendment, which is not reasonable. Clearly, the commissioner is not going to review every hiring packet and every background check and things like that. And the FBI CJIS audit revealed that our practice was such that division directors, hiring managers, and other folks were obviously reviewing these records to make a determination about someone's suitability. And so our practice simply needed to be illustrated in law, I guess, to make everything work the way it was supposed to. And so while the language of this I think based upon previous conversations where we wanted to name people by position, was the guidance that we had received from the FBI law unit. We have since had a meeting with them to confirm this before we got started in this process this spring. And they sort of backpedaled a little bit and said, oh, well, you don't have to name people by position. As long as it's an employee within the department, then we're fine. In other words, the fear was by putting commissioner or designee, their thought was, well, what if the designee is a third party? What if it's not the state agency? What if it's somewhere else? And so I guess I offer my support for this, clearly, this bill. And I would only ask that maybe we can make the language a little bit more general. And I have, I guess, an example of that. I could share it by email if you'd like following today's hearing, to simply amend it to, let me see, I'll just add a little bit more language here, I guess. So in essence, to say something to the effect of the Division of State Police shall report any criminal conviction information to the commissioner or to anyone designated by the commissioner. Oh, I'm sorry, no, that's wrong. Criminal conviction to the commissioner or to a Department of Safety employee as designated by the commissioner who is authorized to receive criminal conviction information. That makes it a little bit more watered down, I suppose, in the essence of hopefully we don't have to change this again in the future. And I think that was the FBI law unit's concern, was that they simply didn't want to see the results go to an outside agency at some point. So if we do that down the road, we decide we're going to have a third party reviewing background checks and things for our own employees, then we'd obviously have to change the law at that point. That's not likely, in my opinion. But this certainly allows for, I'll say, more flexibility on who can review the records. And this sort of makes it cohesive, where obviously it's authorized by the commissioner and that person has been CJIS trained and certified, if you will, to receive this stuff. So I think it's more longer lasting than trying to name it by position, although we did get that guidance initially from the law unit. So it has kind of changed a little bit from their perspective and therefore our perspective, I suppose. So
So this change you're proposing will pass muster with FBI and with the audit?
according to our most recent meeting, which I think was about 2 months ago that we had with them. So that's why I'm here today, to sort of pass that along. In my opinion, yes, based upon what they said, but it seems to be somewhat of a moving target, and the guidance is not very direct or succinct at times. It's, I don't know if it's intentionally vague from their perspective, but I was delighted to at least get their attention. There was, I think, 2 attorneys and 3 paralegals from the FBI law unit that were on the meeting, and so I kind of questioned them to say, well, wait a minute, didn't we talk about, you know, positions and things? And then that's when they sort of backpedaled and said, well, as long as it's not going to somewhere outside the agency, everyone's happy. So it's like, okay, so this is sufficient, but, you know, I just wanted to share that conversation that was had in the meeting that was had, and, you know, what the most recent guidance was. So in my opinion, that amendment would certainly pass their standard, but I'm not them.
Can you provide us that written language?
I can,
We-
absolutely.
We may actually accept this today, so if you can give us that written language, we can do it as a committee amendment.
Okay, you need it in an email and writing, or?
Just something we can, Senator Gannon can bring it right
Something
back.
I
with
can
him.
read, so-
Yes.
Okay,
If you put like that other designee language
Yeah.
into a sentence, will be good.
We've had a little bit of experience, or I have, with background checks, because I'm on my 4th iteration of trying to get the background check for solid waste facilities.
okay,
Ownership there, and the FBI has been a pain in the neck to deal with
Yeah.
about getting this right. So I feel your pain, and I
Yeah, yeah.
understand what you're working with here.
okay.
They're terribly vague and for some reason don't want to come forward.
Yeah, it's like they don't want to commit to anything. I realize
Right.
they don't want to, they're not in the business of giving legal advice, I suppose, but if they're the ones setting the standard, then it'd be nice if they could define that standard.
Give you some guidance so that you can get it correct and.
Correct, and so we've struggled with that, as do other states. I mean, this is not unique to New Hampshire. And
Understood.
they have a new commander-in-chief, I'll say, of the law unit, which seems to be more accessible and more responsive, quite frankly. So I'm not sure, you know, how that came to be, but I would suspect it's from many, many states beating the door down, saying, look, we've got to change something here. I mean, we shouldn't be waiting months and months and months to get statutes approved and the like. So I think we've hopefully have made enough noise to start some positive change.
Good.
And response from them. So
Do we have other questions?
Yes.
Senator Altshuler.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for taking my question. So
yes, ma'am.
your proposed amendment would be to take out these specifically named positions
Yes.
and keep in the commissioner's designee within the department?
Right.
And so, my question is, has the department started looking into, acquiring AI software for these purposes? And do we want to leave that out until, I would be very hesitant for the designee to become a piece of AI software that we purchase.
Yeah,
There are so many problems with these, but they're very tantalizing because they're, overall, it's less human capital, so
sure.
your payroll goes down.
Yeah,
So
I
I
don't-
would not want to do this, and I want to make sure that we put guardrails in place so that the commissioner's designee is a human.
Yes. And so what I would say is that the current language says the Division of State Police shall report any criminal conviction information to the commissioner. I would offer new language of, or to a Department of Safety employee as designated by the commissioner who is authorized to receive criminal conviction information, which I think addresses your concern that it's an employee, not a computer or software program.
Thank you. Thank you.
A physical human, but it
Right.
makes it a little bit more, I don't want to say vague, but opens, right? Because if we simply say division director, and then there happens to be a hiring manager, which isn't one of those specified people, and we're the subject of an audit in another 3 years, let's say, well, wait a minute, you gave those records to, I'll say a division clerk, but this doesn't say division clerk, and that way there, if we open it up to include any employee as designated by the commissioner, to receive this stuff, then that will be, it'll satisfy that. You know, that allows us some flexibility internally to make sure that we've accounted for everybody that would be a hiring manager or would be
Yeah.
receiving or reviewing this information, and not sort of nailing our feet to the floor with simply just these things. And again, I will say, I appreciate the language as it's before us today, because that's what we asked for originally, because that was the guidance we got, and that has since been loosened slightly. So I apologize for the work that had gone into making the amendment, and thank you for the opportunity to consider something slightly different.
Easy fix.
Thank you for recognizing the differentiation that I'm trying to get across between vague and open.
Yes, ma'am, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why Department of Safety
Thank you.
employee, clearly excludes any software-related items, which I hadn't considered, and I suppose we're headed in that direction eventually, so.
Any further questions? All right, thank you both, and Senator Gannon, you'll have that
You
language.
earned your money.
Yes. All right,
How do you want me to get you?
anybody else that would
Break
like
them up
to
now.
testify on
It's
Senate
gonna
Bill
wind
5?
up in like 10 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, with that, we'll close the
Good thing
hearing
you were
on
here.
Senate Bill 568. You're introducing Pursuit.
Senator, I'll type it and I'll email it to you. Does that work? Or,
Do you have something handwritten? Because we can exec this.
I mean, I don't have a blank sheet of paper, but maybe I can find one and write it down for you. Oh, I do, actually. Right.
Thank you.
All set. All right. We will open the hearing on Senate Bill 642 and recognize Senator Reardon to introduce for Senator Prentice.
Thank you. Senator Tara Reardon, District 15, Concord, Bow, and Hopkinton, introducing Senate Bill 642 on behalf of Senator Prentice, who's tied up in Health and Human Services right now. I know as much as I've read of this bill right here, and it is at the request of the department, who's here to be the expert on it. And any committee members, she'd be happy to take any questions and present the committee members may have on the cleanup legislative initiative to repeal an obsolete institutional review board. And this is actually a portion of the statute on the services for the developmentally disabled.
And I assume that Jenny O'Higgins is with you? Sure. Would you like to jump in?
Yes, thank you so much. Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. I'm Jenny O'Higgins. I'm the Legislative Liaison for Behavioral Health for the Department of Health and Human Services. So the institutional review boards were created in response to unethical research and are critically important. What has occurred here is that in 2005, DHHS stood up their own IRB to oversee research, mostly which they were funding. But because every academic institution has an IRB, and there can also be commercial IRBs. In 2020, a federal rule went into effect that required just a single IRB. So there had been dozens of research projects that this board was overseeing. But when that rule went into effect, that there was just one IRB that you would go to, your research wouldn't be overseen by multiples. The numbers of programs that needed to access this IRB went way down, and the IRB is selected by the federal department that's conducting or funding the research under that federal rule. So it's often at these academic institutions. There also has been a drop in the amount of community-based research. And so the amount of need for this at DHHS has gotten lower and lower. And there are currently 4 active studies. The board has been meeting about recommendations of whether or not to continue, and has also made aware the current research studies that they may move towards this repeal. So all of those human subjects would still be protected. It would still be a requirement that the research is conducted under the review of an IRB. This one has just become duplicative, and the fees that can be collected for it have never kind of net zero. They've never made up for the amount that it cost. And the rule that governs this part of the IRB for DHHS has also expired. So there was a recommendation of, do we need to re-up the rules, and even because we're not even collecting fees at this point, or is this overly duplicative? So just to make sure that you all know that the human subjects will still be protected, and that there still be a requirement that all research goes to an IRB. They would just go to academic or commercial IRBs instead of the state specific.
So bottom line, we don't need this anymore.
Right, it's now duplicative and it costs money. And so we do need just one amendment on the effective date. We would like it to be effective January 2027, just to allow us time to finish the research studies that are currently wrapping up under this review board, instead of requesting that they have to move to a new one in the middle of their study. And then we would also continue to need to budget for 3 years for just our record retention, which is somewhere around $3,000. And the record retention would be a federal requirement for 3 years, even after the repeal.
So in this bill, if we just change the effective date to 1/1 of 27, that's all you need us to do right
Yes.
now?
Yes.
Okay. Further questions from the committee? All right, seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else that would like to testify on Senate Bill 642? Seeing none, we'll close the hearing. Let's take a 5-minute recess and then we'll come back for exec, if that's okay. All right.
Do you have a list?
Yeah, I have, there you go. Looks like well, it's two of today's we could do, and at least 2 or 3 of the past. I'll tell you what. I don't know. Let's talk about it in exec. All right. So
What are the other ones we're gonna, besides today, what's on our list?
if you don't mind, just let me do a quick recess and then I'll come back and go through it. Is that okay?
Oh, okay.
All right. All right, we're back. Can I have a motion to go into exec? Senator Gannon, would you like to make a motion to go into exec?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye.
You
I wanna-
swear in the hall?
Yeah, she'll be right back.
Oh, okay.
I want to talk about Senate Bill 421, and Senator Prentice is here to introduce an amendment that she has for the bill. So Senator Prentice?
Thank you, Chair Pearl and members of EDNA. And so I appreciate the opportunity to introduce this amendment, which is 0230 to Senate Bill 421. As you probably, I know you've been busy. You may recall I was here probably about 2 weeks ago, talking about work that I had done on realigning the composition and reporting responsibilities of the state's Trauma Medical Review Committee, which oversees the state's trauma system. And the purpose of that is to align it with really, as you heard from, as well as Dr. Gupta, what the practice is today, because we hadn't made any changes in that bill since, or that, not that bill, that statute since 1999. So since that time, there's been discussion, because there are 2 other boards over at the Department of Safety that work in the emergency medical services arena and overlap, which is the state's medical control board that sets the protocols for care that's provided in the field, the state's EMS and trauma services coordinating board, which are all the different stakeholder groups that work together, making sure that the system is functioning as it should throughout the state in a geographically diverse way. And so conversations started to happen about, well, you're fixing this. Should this be fixed? Should we talk about these other boards? I appreciate Senator McHugh bringing this up. But what I had already done for 421 was all of the legwork around stakeholders, the Department of Safety, and I felt that, in order for me to support making changes to those other boards, we really needed to have the same conversations with them. I even met with the New Hampshire Paramedic Association last night to talk about this. So what my intent is here is to complement the work of Senator McHugh with an alternative amendment, which puts a study committee together so that we can assemble the stakeholders and look at the duties and the compositions. It says membership and compensation, but it's really not compensation, it's composition. I'm gonna have to look at of these boards, these other 2 boards, and as well as the nomination process with the Commissioner of Safety. It's important that anybody that's going to be impacted by this in a positive way, as well as has concerns, is at the table. And we didn't have them at the table, and we now have their attention. So I think that I'm just asking to use the 421 as a vehicle to establish this official conversation. Thank you.
So I want to make sure I'm clear. Your amendment would leave section 1 intact of the original bill, and then 1 and 2, I'm sorry, and then add this on additionally. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, just want to make sure I understood.
Because there was a board, there was reporting, and then this would add this study committee on again. Yeah, thank you.
Questions? from the committee?
Clarification, please.
Sure, Senator Reardon.
Senator Prentice, did I understand you to just say on line 11 of this amendment that should say composition instead of compensation?
That is correct, because none of these boards are I don't even know how I didn't pick that up, so thank you. Until I, once you read it the 7th time, it's composition.
Cool, thank you.
You could even just say membership, honestly, because up on top, you'll see here on line 9, establish a committee to study the composition, duties, and responsibilities of certain boards.
Just strike it and make it say membership.
Just say membership.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any further questions from the committee? Thank you, Senator. I know you're busy, and you're welcome to stay if you want.
No, I will,
We've got what we need.
leave this to you all. But
Yep, that's it. Did you have another question?
Yeah. Thank you, Senator Pearl, or Chair Pearl. So actually, we're looking at the composition, duties, and responsibilities of these boards, but line 11 actually has to do with who's going to sit on the committee from the House and the Senate. So we actually may need to put compensation back in there because there may be mileage. So on the fly here, let me just correct that. Between 9 and 11, there is a difference.
So just leave the amendment as it is.
Yep, got
Okay.
it. Perfect.
All right.
What a morning.
Senator Reardon?
Thank you. One other clarification. We had a January 13th an amendment in our files here, 0081, that added the physician designee from the rehab center and a representative from New Hampshire Office of Highway Safety.
That should be attached as well.
Got it.
I introduced that with the initial bill, so it should be the initial bill, that amendment, and now a second amendment.
What
Bill-
number?
Okay,
I have 0081, and I have an extra copy of it here if you want.
0081, yeah.
Yeah, but recognizing you had an
get
exec, you were
there?
correct, that wouldn't be it.
035, no.
So you haven't, I apologize, I don't have that amendment either. So this is your first amendment you brought in, 0081? Okay. So we would need to accept both, or a committee amendment combining the two. Either way. All right,
Either way, that is, thank you.
all right, thank you. Any further questions?
Gotcha.
Do we have a motion on the bill?
What's that?
Somebody want to move the bill?
Move OTP
Okay,
to start there.
second? All right. I think the cleanest way is, Ben, would the cleanest way for you be to just to draft a committee amendment combining these two? Okay, so I will move a committee amendment which will combine the contents of amendment 0081 and 0230. So it'll be the combination of both of those
Second.
language. Are you all set on that, Ben? Okay, just want to make sure it's clear. All set? All right. Discussion from the committee on the amendment. There'll be a committee amendment containing the language of both of those amendments.
Sounds good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Senator Altshuler moves on to pass his amendments, Senator Reardon seconds.
Move consent?
We haven't passed it
We
yet.
haven't passed the bill.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, that was just the amendment,
Yeah.
sorry.
Any opposed? And now Senator Altshuler moves consent. All in favor?
Aye.
Senator Altshuler, would you like to take this out?
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Senator Prentice.
Thank you, Chair Pearl and members of EDNA. Have a good day.
We can do hard things.
Yes, we can.
Zero consent.
Okay.
Okay.
Since I have, if you, nobody minds, I still have the folder off the last bill we heard, which is 642. How about we work backwards a little bit? Is that okay with everyone?
642, is that what you said?
642, that's the last bill we just heard.
Yes.
Do we have a motion?
All right. Move ought to pass, but with the amendment of making this
Yeah,
effective.
we'll do a committee amendment, all right. So we have an ought to pass motion, and I'll second. And Senator Reardon moves a committee amendment. Then when you're ready, this is a 642. Committee amendment simply going to change the effective date of the bill to 1/1 of 27.
Sounds like a long way away, doesn't it?
Any discussion on the committee amendment? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Move ought to pass as amended.
Moved and I'll second. Discussion on the bill as amended. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Move consent?
All in favor?
Aye.
Senator Reardon, would you like to take this one out?
Yes.
All right, now we're gonna do the. It'll be 568 next, when Ben is ready.
Oh, we did that too.
We have a proposed amendment language if you'd like to review it.
I think your handwriting's very nice.
It is legible. Ben, you all set? All right. Senator Gannon, would you like to make a motion on 568?
Yeah, I would motion that I have a proposed amendment.
So it moves on to pass.
So moving on to pass.
Senator Reardon seconds. Senator Gannon wants to propose a committee amendment.
And so the highlighted, the darkened areas would be replaced with information to the commissioner, et cetera.
So the proposal is on line 8 of the bill to strike all of the amended language and replace it with what we have here on the sheet. So it would read, of safety employee as designated by the commissioner who is authorized to receive criminal conviction information, period. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Ben, do you have that language in front of you? All right, you're clear on what we want to do, starting on line 8? With the language you have. Perfect. Discussion from the committee on the amendment. Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Senator Gannon moves out to pass as amended. Senator Reardon seconds. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Consent has been moved. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Senator Gannon, I see you'd like to take this one out? All right. You're all set.
Six of approving.
Do you all have this list correct, from Ben about the bills that need to be accepted?
Yes,
Okay.
we got one. So, what did we just do? 568, check that
So
out.
I'm,
642, check that out. And what's the first one?
we did
421.
421,
Check
just Senator
that.
Prentice was here.
Okay.
All right, so 420, I haven't formulated a recommendation on this yet. I'm not quite sure what we should do with it. Do we want to discuss this a little bit? I'm starting at the beginning of the list at this point.
Back to the front.
Yeah, I have notes on it that there's some parts that need to be removed and it needs some work. And I have not had a chance to circle back with Senator Ward on this.
So as having that it directly undoes a lot of work that's been done recently.
I guess I'm going to ask then that we hold it, and I will try and circle back with Senator Ward and have a conversation and see what her thoughts are.
We're holding.
So
right?
we'll hold
We're at
420.
No, actually.
We
Well,
have done
here.
421 already. 423, Senator Birdsell is, my understanding, she's going to work on an amendment, which I have not seen one. That's the Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder Commission. We actually know, I'm sorry, that's not true. We just needed to add a member. Is this the one we already exec?
Yes.
Yeah, all right, I got it mixed up in my head again. We've done this and we reconsidered because we need to fix some language. That's the amendment. I'm sorry, but I don't know why I keep forgetting this. Okay. You have language in front of you on the table. So-
For, what do we do?
423.
423.
All right, I'm gonna move on to pass. And I'm gonna move the amendment language that you have on the table in front of you, which is a committee amendment. So that's this right here.
Mm-hmm. I'm just looking for my original file.
Yes.
There we are.
And I believe this fixed the concerns we
Oh,
had.
I see. Community, member of the community mental health centers we added.
Yeah, as you recall,
Yeah.
we already exec this bill once and we brought it back because there was an issue with OLS with some language. So this is what they provided to correct the issue that we had. Okay,
And what's the effective date?
so
November
I've moved the
20,
committee amendment. Would you
27.
like a second? All right. Discussion on the committee amendment, which is the language here from 355S.
Comparing with my notes, it jives with everything we talked about.
All right?
Yep.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I'll move on to pass as amended. Any discussion?
So we're amending the previously amended.
No, we're amending the original bill.
Right, the original bill,
Yeah.
though, when we did it, we amended it.
Correct.
We changed,
We're doing the same thing, only correctly, because there was an issue with OLS.
oh,
and the
this
way we presented it.
incorporates
Yes,
the 10?
yes.
Where's the 10? Where am I
Uh,
missing?
just- it was
Oh,
supposed to-
17. Ah, okay,
Yep.
got it.
right.
Understood.
All in
Okay.
favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent is moved. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And I'll take this one. I'm gonna hold 425. I'm trying to have a conversation with Councilor Kenny, and, yeah, we can have discussion on it if any of you want to,
I'm sorry.
but I do not want to vote on it today. Any desire to have a conversation on it, or move on? All right. 470, we're holding that one as well, because Senator Rochford is working on some language concerns that were raised at the hearing.
Check.
494, you should have an amendment for. Amendment 171S. Does everybody have the amendment? Then you all set for me to move forward? 494. 171. All right, so I'm going to move out to pass. Moved and seconded by Senator Reardon, and I'm going to offer amendment 2026-0171S. So this amendment is, as you recall, there were concerns raised at the hearing, and so I asked the folks to sit down together and try to come up with an answer and a solution. And Director Juris is here. Is there any comments you'd like to make on it? Are you okay with the amendment as is? All right, thumbs up, we're good. And this is the language that they came up with. The electricians weren't 100% happy, but they will accept it. So I am moving this language forward, which should satisfy the concerns of the fire marshal, OPLC, and generally speaking, the concerns that the electricians raised. Further discussion on the amendment?
Past licenses, I'm sorry, what is it?
Am I
that
going
they-
too fast for you? That's okay.
I'm looking at I'm just scooching down to lines 18 through 28. And what's the change? Oh, it's a total replace of that. I see.
Yep.
So this is not the same as this. Of page 2,
I'll have to go back.
part 4A. Fragments.
There were changes made within the language that, again, satisfied the concerns that the fire marshal needed.
Oh, we went from
record
may to
access.
shall?
Yes, I believe so.
Data export. What's a data export?
Could be email addresses or things
I
they have on
see.
file.
Okay.
You want to come address? Let's bring Director Juris up. Thankfully, she's here.
Yeah.
I know. I don't have my email, so if you had a copy, I would look for if you made a copy.
Just turn your mic on, please.
Thank you. Yes, I was just saying, if you gave me a copy, I could just speak directly to. I think this is okay. Thank you.
Just introduce yourself. if you
Yes, for the record, Dee Juris, Executive Director, OPLC. Happy to
Director.
discuss any questions or just kind of lay out the consideration here.
I think the question from Senator Altshuler was more on section 6, the changes that were in there.
Yep, so the change, that, so it's the same, should be the exact same language twice, just in one in the mechanical and one in the electrical for the two different types of licensing and inspecting there. So I think you had said, what is a data export? So that's a pretty standard way that we would just, it's a kind of a bulk, a spreadsheet. It's shared across. We have secure ways to share through state agencies. So we just made it clear this is not just a call whenever you want, and like there's some regularity to it. It's coming, and then we can build systems around it, kind of set it and forget it type thing, where the information is just current and updated. to meet the business needs of both agencies, right? Not a tax of time on OPLC, but then also them having fairly up to date. But it does allow, there was some discussion about including when that data was going to be updated. We decided that it would be best to leave that flexible in statute. If needs change, that the agreement between myself and the fire marshal or whoever the director is would be able to do that. So prescriptive enough to meet some of the stakeholder concerns, but broad enough to allow some flexibility to meet those needs.
Would you agree? My conversation with Marshall Toomey, he was supportive of this as well. Is that your? also
Certainly,
your belief?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you for the explanation.
Yep, no problem.
Appreciate it.
Further questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you for taking that time.
All right, we're, we're voting on the amendment, 171 to Senate Bill 494. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, now move on to pass as amended. Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Consent is moved. All in favor? Aye. And I will also take this one out there.
You're doing this one?
Yep, I'll
Got
take
it.
this one.
Okay.
I would like to open up 522 for discussion.
That was not today.
I don't have a lot for notes on this bill when I was reviewing them, and guess is there anybody like to have a discussion on this bill? Yeah, I just don't have a lot of notes on it. I really don't have any notes on it.
So I actually, so after having read the bill, watched the hearing in review, because I was also not present the day of, I think Senator Rochford and I are in concert that it is.
In concert with the art.
Got it? You like when I did that?
She's snappy.
In concert with our commitment to supporting the arts. It is a particular revenue driver on the Seacoast. We have multiple concert and music venues and a dozen theaters and even more local music venues that don't stop all year. Used to be just summer season, but now it is year round. And investing in the arts community only strengthens that community, which actually supports a significant sector of at least my district's economy.
Well, I think the reason I would say this is probably an elevated level, I mean, I'm always concerned about putting commissions and committees, and, you know, we do a lot of them, and I'm always trying not to do any more than we can help, but I think this one is justified considering the changes we made in House Bill 2 last year and the pushback we're getting from, I believe it's DRA on accepting these tax credits and trying to make them a donation. There's some pushback there, and I think that makes this more necessary than I had originally thought. So I would be supportive of moving this. Senator Gannon, do you have any thoughts for moving? All right. Do we have a motion? Move on to pass by Senator Reardon. Senator Altshuler, would you like to second that?
Oh, yes, second, sorry. Catch
All
it
right.
up.
Discussion on the bill. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All in favor? for
Aye.
consent? Aye. And,
I'll
any
take it.
volunteers? Senator Altshuler will take this one up. All right. Yes. All right, excuse me, Senate Bill 527, we need to hold that one. Still some work that needs to happen there. As we heard today, that's the first one we heard this morning. 567. Director Jurius is there. I know there's been discussion on this bill. If you wouldn't mind coming back up.
Certainly, just for the record, Dee Jarvis, Executive Director, OPLC.
If we come to a conclusion on how we want to move forward on this, I know there was some concern raised again by the electricians, and have you reached a resolution with?
Yeah, that was section 5 that
Yeah.
they were.
Yes, the
switching.
temporary licensing.
Section 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So I have been in discussions, Chairman and I had a conversation, I believe, last Friday, Thursday or Friday. I drafted some proposed language Monday, over the weekend, over the snow, sometime in that blizzard, I drafted some language and have been in contact with the association there. I think what I drafted satisfied their concerns. I think this is going to be another example of it's possible that what they are asking is different than kind of what we have been asking, and would like leave that policy decision to the committee. There are some nuances there. I don't have language to put in front of you. I could send it to you, but not that we've both agreed to move forward at this point. So,
Okay. I think we're gonna
Yes.
hold this right now then, because I don't have the language right in front of me.
Mhm.
We'll take a look at it and see if we can get something together.
certainly.
But you've made good progress, it sounds like?
Yeah. So I have a draft that they are reviewing presently. I think their goal was to get it to you by the end of, or for us to have it to you by the end of the week.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for the update. So we will hold 567.
Sure.
We have done 568 already. I want to hold 570, 573, and 640. And we've already done 642, so I think that's it for right now. By my records. Ben, do you agree? All right,
Can I ask a question about 640?
sure can.
What's happening with that? Is somebody coming up with something?
Sure, so I am actually assembling a small task force of those folks that came and testified that in support and opposition. Trying to, hopefully meeting next week. We've been struggling to find a date where everybody can get there. Just essentially want to sit all the stakeholders down. I don't know for sure what the future of the bill is going to be, exactly what it looks like. But I felt it was prudent to sit everyone down in the same room and have a conversation. So,
I recall in that hearing, it was apparent that everybody agreed on what AI could be used for and not.
yeah,
But nobody was using that to writing that reflected.
yeah, how we get there is the question, and it's not quite ready the way it is, and so I'm trying to have those discussions with the folks that, the interested parties, and see if we can find a path forward. That is an update on that. Thank you for reminding me. I meant to give you that. All right. Anything else before we go out of exec? I'll take a motion. And
Moved. Oh.
moved and seconded to come out of exec. All in favor? Aye. And at this point in time, we do not have any late bills assigned yet, correct? I have not either. Okay. So, I'm not certain of what next Wednesday is going to look like. We do have 3 retained bills. I'd like to see what we're gonna get for, no, we only have 1 more retained bill, right? We did 1, we had 2, correct? I'm sorry, we've already done. I'm probably gonna hold off until scheduling anything until I see what we get for the late file bills. So very possible we may not meet next Wednesday.
Okay, so that's up in the air.
Yes, I will try and get that nailed down because calendar deadline is tomorrow, right? Yeah, so, yes.
So I had that we had 3 retained bills, 182, 186, and 1.
Was there 3?
And that we had already taken care of one of them.
Okay, then maybe there's 2 left.
I'll review it. We'll figure out where I'm going. Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
So stay tuned, but as of right now, I'm not ready to schedule until I have more work because I don't want to bring you in for 1 bill. So with that, we are done for today. Thank you.
Thank you.